Okay.
Hello, welcome to the latest Cool Rekz video. I'm very excited and very pleased and very privileged to have the guest that I've got today, because most of the comments I get are, you keep mentioning this guy, we've never seen him. A bit like our drummer who you've also never seen. I'm talking about this guy here. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a producer, he's a performer. He's really annoying really, because he does everything and he does it really well.
No, I just do everything.
It's Paul Roberts.
Hello.
Welcome to the Cool Rekz video channel. I want to start off, Paul, by asking you, what's your first memory of music?
I remember the first. Well, I remember the first single I bought with like my own pocket money, but I also remember the sort of singles that my mum and dad bought me before that as well. So I remember getting a record player for about my 4th birthday or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
You started.
It was, yeah, but the record collection that my mum and dad did for me was all Shawaddy Waddy and stuff, and Winter Davis and Don Estelle's Whispering Grass. I remember being on there as well.
I was listening to that not too long ago for some strange reason.
What, Ink Spots or Winter Davis and Don Estelle?
Winter Davis and Don Estelle.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Let's compare first records then.
Okay, well, before we get there, yeah, so just, yeah, Mull of Kintyre was in there as well, right? So 77, yeah, so definitely my 4th birthday. That's how I can chart that. And then, pocket money. Mum gave me £1. I went into Campbell's in Wigston.
Quid.
Yeah, in 1978, and I bought Rat Trap by Boomtown Rats.
Well,
at the age of 5, so that's not bad going, is it? Really,
full credibility marks.
Yeah, so that's not too bad for a 5-year-old.
That
really,
was from A Tonic for the Troops. Great album.
Oh, okay.
I just about preferred Fine Arts of Servicing, which was the next album, but.
So what was your first single then?
Do you remember the old record label with a yacht on it? Blue label. I think it was Decca, was it?
Yeah.
It was a cover by a band called Smokey called Needles and Pins.
Well, I know Smokey. Because
I don't know who did Needles and Pins.
That was
60s song, I think.
Dave Clark 5, wasn't it?
Was it?
So I can look it up in a bit.
Mm.
I'm sure you can edit this in and out, make it look like we know we're talking about music.
I don't do a lot of editing, I have to say.
So no, I'm sure it's Dave Clark 5. I'll look it up in a minute.
That was my first record.
But Smokey, as you know, I performed Living Next Door to Alice.
Oh, is that one of theirs? Is it?
Well, it was a cover that they did. It was originally some
Slade,
Australian band. No, some Australian
Slade
band.
do it as well, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah, Slade
Right.
have done it. Yeah.
But yeah, so Boomtown Rats, Rat Trap was the first first money that I actually spent on a record, and it was the first thing in my record collection that wasn't Wings, Shawaddy Waddy, or Windsor Davis and Don Estelle.
So yeah, that's a bit of a switch, isn't it? I mean, my first album.
Well, that's all my mum and dad buying me.
Yeah,
then,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my first album was a bit better. It was The Hurting.
Right.
Tears for Fears,
Mm.
which, God, when was that? 1982. So
Yeah.
I'd have been 68, 78. I'd have been 14.
Okay.
That was pretty old, really.
Yeah. I can't remember the first album I bought. I remember getting a lot of albums around then for like Christmas and birthdays. A lot of Pet Shop Boys, Please, a bit of Motley Crue.
Yeah, no, that's much better. I
So,
can't
yeah.
remember. All I know is that the albums at the time were about £5.49 or £5.99, or a double album was £8.99.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, that's my musical background, if you like. Age of 5.
and what made you want to perform music?
Well, I've always done performing in a kind of an amateur little way, you know. I've always been in school productions.
I was under the impression that you've only been doing what you're doing now for a couple of 3 years.
Oh, I have, yeah, about
really?
5 years.
Because you don't sound like that.
Well, I've got an upbringing in performing arts. My sister was a performer. She was a dancer.
Oh right, okay. Parents?
not as far as I know. Although my dad played guitar. Well, I don't know if you know, my dad was born and raised in Karachi in Pakistan.
All right.
So when he was growing up, I mean, he moved over here at the age of 16, but from about the age of 13, 14, it was quite a westernised city, Karachi is. For
what were his parents? Were his parents working out there, were they? Or
well, no, they were born out there as well.
Oh, right,
so we had quite a large family unit over there. All colonial, I think, but we don't talk about this. He was in bands from about the age of 13, 14 out there.
Really? Because it's changed now. It's probably gone a bit more conservative, hasn't it?
Well, but I think Karachi is still quite a cosmopolitan area. I think it's it's not a westernised city.
No, but it must be their second or third biggest city, surely, after Faisalabad and.
It might even be the biggest city.
What is it? The Karachi's capital, isn't it?
No, it's Islamabad.
Islamabad, that's right. Sorry, yeah.
Or Lahore, is it Islamabad? Maybe, I don't know. But
some of them have changed names, haven't they?
Yeah, but actually, if you look on Karachi's Wikipedia page, it's got a picture of a panoramic photo of the bay, and it just looks absolutely stunning. Love to go one day. But yeah, so my dad was played guitar from that age. My dad's great at picking stuff up, just playing by ear and things. So he had a Hofner. Hofner were the only guitar brand really that distributed over there. If you had the money, you could probably get a Rickenbacker, but it was Hofner. There's no Fenders or Gibsons over there because they were American, and the import duty was just the import duty was just astronomical. So they imported from Germany really. So that's why you got Hofner's.
Germany's a gateway to the Asia, isn't it?
So yeah, my dad's got a vintage Hofner up in his loft somewhere.
Have you never wanted to get it out and dust it off? And
no, because I've got a Hofner myself of my own, so which my dad bought me for a birthday once. So no, I don't need my dad's Hofner because I've got my own. So he's got a bit of a heritage of performing, although he was never in a band when he moved to the UK. But for me, I was in a band in sixth form college. We just did covers. Me and my mate Christopher, we wrote a couple of songs. Nothing kind of groundbreaking. We weren't exactly Arctic Monkeys or Oasis or anybody, but we had a bit of fun with it. And then I just spent time the next 20-30 years writing in my bedroom for my own personal consumption. I was a single parent most of that time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so couldn't really get out on a school night.
No.
So just kept writing songs, and then when my son turned about 16, I could get out to open mics and stuff. I just started with open mics, started networking. Within a couple of weeks I was getting gigs. Within a couple of months I was getting support slots for touring bands and established artists that were doing acoustic tours, and getting slots at festivals and stuff. So all happened quite not quickly, but
there was a good progression there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think
you never had problems with nerves.
No, never. Well, as I say, I've been performing.
Yeah.
Right through school. I was always in a school production. I was always in a scout gang show and stuff like that. I triumphed as Maid Marian, and that's one thing that does leap to mind that I did. I played as Maid Marian once. I was a genie of the lamp in something else. I've been the Pied Piper. So yeah, we do. I've always had kind of a.
Is that something you want to get into again? Musicals and stuff like that?
No, not really.
No,
or acting. No, don't fancy it. So I mean, as you know, I perform as a solo acoustic artist. No desire to be in a band or anything.
I was going to ask you that. You're
not
happy to be solo?
Yeah, because I'm in control of it. I'm in total control of it. I don't have to arrange people to get together for a rehearsal. I can just rehearse when I'm ready.
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on other people turning up to gigs, or how they're going to get there, or whether I have to pick them up or drop people off or anything like that. I don't have to worry about anything but getting myself there. So that's why I like it. You know, you might lose a bit in terms of what you've got in the back line if you've not got drums or bass or other guitarists or other vocalists. But to be honest, I do two types of gigs. I do gigs where I play originals, and I do gigs where they just want 28 covers of, you know, Wonderwall and Daydream Believer all night. So
I mean, it's a musical cliche, but you have got as well, and it's cliched because it's so often said, but it's so often said because it's true. You've got creative control, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm my manager as well.
Yeah.
But what I did as well, just sorry to interrupt,
No, that's fine.
is before I did anything, I did about 6 months worth of reconnaissance, research, and getting almost like a business infrastructure in place. So I knew the things I wanted to do. I wanted to perform, I wanted to produce and record, and so I looked at how the industry works right at grassroots level and upwards, and worked out where I was going to pitch myself in everything that I wanted to do, probably about 3 or 4 months before I actually then went and did it. So I knew I was going to be starting performance wise with open mics. I knew that I was going to be starting recording wise with a free piece of software like GarageBand before I moved on to Logic, just to, you know, to learn the ropes.
Yeah.
And before I even record my own stuff, have a go at some guinea pigs, hence where Cool Rekz comes in. So so you were my guinea pigs. It was me having a go at trying to put something together at a reasonably good quality. And that came 2 years down the line from actually starting with GarageBand. So
Right.
so, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I'm pushing 50. Started this when
You
I was
don't
late,
look it.
but well, who cares? But the point is that I'm pushing 50. I started doing this in my mid-40s, so it's not like I'm like trying to rush anything. It's
No.
not like I'm. It's not like I'm.
But you've achieved a lot in that space
it's not like,
of time.
It's not
really.
like I'm late teens to early to mid 20s going, oh, it's all got to happen today, else it's not going to happen at all. Because nothing's happened at all for the first 45 years.
Yeah.
So I might as well just kind of take it all in my stride, not put myself under any pressure, but at the same time work in a kind of a targeted way, so that I know, okay, this is where I'm at. This is the next stage of where you got to be, whether it's performing or recording or producing or whatever. And then when you get there, work out what your next level is after that.
Well, I mean, it's time as well. I mean, you don't wake up one morning and say, right, I'm going to play the guitar today and it's going to be fine, fantastic. What about learning the guitar? Because, I mean, I've seen you perform umpty-tump times now, and I don't think I've ever heard you play a bum note.
Really?
And I will guarantee, I haven't got the best musical ear because obviously I do have some hearing issues, but I guarantee you inside the first 10 minutes of our practice session tomorrow night,
Yeah.
me and David would have messed up loads of times.
Yeah, but you notice your own performance like that. From where I was stood on Saturday, and you were there, I played tons of bum notes, tons of them.
I don't remember.
Yeah, no, but it's not what you do. It's not. You don't just kind of stop and go, oh, I've messed up.
No.
You just kind of roll with it, or you disguise it. And in fact, what I do is, if it's absolutely obvious even to the audience that I've screwed it up,
I'll make a joke out of it.
yeah, like I did. You must have heard me make the joke on Saturday.
I heard you say something, but I was distracted, so I didn't quite hear what you were saying.
After the end of the song, I said, right, so that was the Cock It Up in the Second Verse remix. So, world exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. You must feel
What track was that?
privileged. Can't remember. It was one towards the end. I can't remember which one now, but I definitely played the wrong chord. So I was no getting away with it. So that's how I cope with that, and it just kind of.
But I mean, you don't make many mistakes, do you?
No, but that's why you practice.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
And that's also why you stay sober through a performance.
Yes, hence that's why I had one beer before we performed on that Saturday. There was no way I was going to drink any more than that.
But to be honest, 90%, maybe 95% of the audience are not going to notice, no matter what gig you're playing. Because if you're playing originals, how do they know that's not how the song goes?
Yeah.
Right. If you're playing covers,
could be your interpretation.
You could be arguing that you made it your own.
Yeah.
But as I say, the only time that I call myself out is when something is glaring that everybody's going to notice. So that's why, hence lines like, "Oh, that was the cock it up in the second verse" remix. So.
But, what about the balance between recording and performing? Because you haven't done a huge amount of personal recording, have you? I know you said you wanted to earn your stripes and use people like us. And
well, I've done my own kind of test recordings that all need.
You have recorded some, haven't you?
I've recorded.
The Stars Have Fallen Down, is it? Or the Stars
Have Drowned.
The Stars Are Drowned.
Well, yeah, that's one.
That's a really good track.
I've recorded about 25 of my own songs.
Oh right, okay. Well then, yeah,
but,
okay.
But as I say,
published then, shall we say?
Well, no, there's nothing published at the minute.
No,
I did have a couple of things uploaded to streaming sites like Spotify, but I've taken it down now because, some of it I didn't produce anyway. Somebody recorded it and produced it for me.
You're not happy with it?
No, I was happy with it. Yeah, it was just like amazing. But what I want to do now is just have everything my work. But you talk about the balance there. It's funny you should say that because my New Year's resolution this year was to do less gigs and spend more time in the studio. But it's not quite worked like that.
You got a lot of gigs now, haven't you?
I've got tons coming up. So,
but I suppose you wanted to get back into it because you made do it for 2 years, have you? Hardly, performance-wise.
No, I didn't really miss it, you know. But
you didn't?
No, but I spent all that time learning.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't waste the time.
And making the transition to Logic as well. So I used that time quite well, and it didn't feel like I'd actually been away, because I was doing as much music as I would do if I was performing. But what I do need to do is I need to be a bit more disciplined, and I need to drag myself back into the studio because I've got a lot to do. As I say, I've got about 25 songs that need remastering and reworking. I've got probably another 25 songs that need recording from scratch, and I'm also trying to write as well. There's probably about a dozen ideas that I've got maybe like a minute's worth down that just need.
Yes.
So what I've got is about 3 projects on the go in the studio. I've got actually writing songs, I've got recording songs, and I've got remastering songs. And those 3 things, I call them knit one, pearl one, drop one. I'm trying to do one of those things and then move on to.
Have you got your own setup at how you want it now, where you live?
Yeah.
I presume there's a room dedicated to it.
Yeah, I've got my own studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does a good job. So what I'm looking at now, as I say, is I'll write one. And then once I've done that, I'll move on to re-recording one that needs remastering. Once I've done that, I'll move on to the other thing that kind of needs doing in that kind of way. So what I don't want to do is get bogged down in like just writing a load of stuff and then neglecting the other things. I need to do one thing and then move on.
Yeah, it does take a lot of discipline. I know exactly what you mean, because we were all over the place when we were doing the album, or even before that. You know, I kept saying, look, we've got about 40 songs now, let's concentrate. None of them are finished, you know, but then we just start writing other songs, and in the end it was, so it does take discipline.
So I've not got that far with it yet. Plus my son, who does a bit of he's got a hobby as a filmmaker.
That's a good combination, then, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he wants one of my songs to put in it, and the one that he wanted was one that I'd finished, which I thought brilliant. So I played it him and I said, "This is ready if you want it," and he turned around and he said, "Oh, can you do as an acoustic version?" So I've had to go and do all that again. So that's kind of got in the way, but it's my lad, and I'm happy to do it.
Of course you are. Yeah.
So and also if it could end up even in any kind of film, then it doesn't matter if it's not earning money. It's a song.
Because you were writing or are writing a symphony as well. I mean,
there's that as well.
I thought that was superb.
That's Project 4. That was just the first movement.
So how do you sort of do that then? Because you don't play the instruments, do you?
No.
So is it difficult? I'm asking a question where you don't want to go.
No. Right. So. Obviously, I've got virtual sounds as you have on your equipment. So I've got a full orchestra.
Right.
I know enough about music and music theory to know how to set an orchestra up.
Not many people do they? Doing.
I don't know. I've never asked.
Paul McCartney can't write music, can't read music. Oasis can't. Bee Gees couldn't. Elton John's one of the few classically trained.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Beatles couldn't. None of the Beatles or the Stones.
No, but I know it's not necessarily needing to know about how to write music. What it's about is how music works. Okay.
Yeah, being able to arrange.
Yeah. So as I say, what you've heard is what I've done so far, which is just the first movement.
So how long do symphonies last then? How many movements are there?
The point of a symphony actually is just to kind of is a composer's chance to just show off a bit. Okay, so
that's not you at all, Paul.
Yeah, you're mistaking me for someone else. But the generally speaking, the rules within a symphony are that there's not really any kind of hard fast rules, but there's kind of, I guess there's certain things that you follow. Generally speaking, a symphony that is worth its weight in gold will be 3/4 of an hour to an hour long, maybe.
Because there's so much of it going on these days. You don't hear much, do you? I don't.
You're not listening to the right things. Like a lot of film scores will be
soundtracks.
Will be something that can be just performed in the Royal Albert Hall for an hour.
Have you got any favourite composers?
Can I come back to that? Because I'll have to have a think.
Okay.
Yes, I've got a lot of favourite composers, but what
Right.
I don't want to do is kind of sound like I'm just reeling off names.
I do like
being
Mozart
shallow.
because there's two tracks that I
Yeah.
like the most. But I mean, I
Okay.
don't know an awful lot.
Well, I'll tell you who I have got a lot of time for. Is Clint Mansell, who was the former lead singer of Pop Will Eat Itself, who now writes film scores.
Is
And
he?
He does some absolutely amazing stuff. He's written a score for a film called Requiem for a Dream, and also the blockbuster Noah. He did the music for
Really?
that. Yeah.
Is there much money in it?
Well, he's living well in the United States of America.
Right.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of time for Clint Mansell. Plus, relative geographically speaking, almost a local boy, isn't he?
I don't know much
from
about
West
Pop Will Eat
Midlands.
myself.
Yeah.
West Midlands, right?
Yeah. So I've got a lot of time for people like that who've maybe made that kind of cross. But I'm just kind of, with regard to my symphony, it's project number 4, if you like, because I've got those other 3 things that I want to do. I want to get everything that I've written recorded, and then I'll come back and revisit the symphony. I know where it's going.
That's the good thing about music. You can leave something for ages and just go back.
In my mind, I know where I'm going with it. So I've got that first movement written, and that's a great reference point, and that's kind of that's kind of a nice point to kind of stop and get on with other things. So, and that's the other thing I was going to say about symphonies. You know, say most symphonies will be 3 or 4 movements, but again, there's no kind of hard fast rules. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so mine's going to be, I think, possibly 3 or 4 movements, and the fourth movement might actually be kind of a mirror of the first movement, because you know that how you heard it, and it kind of starts quite low key and then it builds.
Yes, it's really good.
But it kind of builds to that crescendo at the end. Well, the fourth movement will start as that crescendo and then it'll come down. So what I need, so basically that's the fourth movement, because I've written the first movement, is almost written already. Because
I can remember now what I told you. I said it'd make an excellent soundtrack for a film, or possibly a game.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, there's big books in writing soundtracks for games.
Well, I know, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
People might get a bit snobby about it, but
Not
you know,
really.
if your song gets onto the track of the latest FIFA or Grand Theft Auto, right, then you're not worried about the bills coming in.
Well, you know, to be honest, it's not just games. Any music that is put with any visual image doesn't just give you the back end royalties; it's an upfront license fee as well. So yes, I'm looking into it.
So, are you looking to try? Is this something you just want to try? You're looking, or
I don't think I'll write another one.
Because if somebody comes along and says that's really good, here's tens of thousands of pounds, would that motivate you to write another one?
No, because I'd say, well, give me that tens of thousands of pounds. You can have the one I've written.
Yeah, but I mean to follow it up. I mean,
right.
So if someone gives you tens of thousands of pounds for that symphony,
I don't know. Depends if I've got an idea for something at the time. Because for me, I mean, as I say, I've got this idea. I know where it's going. So first and the fourth movement are going to be kind of mirrored, and then the second and the third movement, I kind of know what themes I want running through them, what sounds I want running through them. So short of it being actually written and actually recorded and done, it's there in my head waiting to come out. So
that's a good thing if it's there in your head. But what I liked about it, and I can understand now why he says it's going to be 3/4 an hour for an hour. You take your time at the start, don't you? You're not bullet to gate.
No.
Because I mean, it's not a song where you got it 3 minutes to make an impact, is it?
No. But what
I like the build up.
Yeah, but what you see, what I'm doing with mine is basically the theme is the theme is a thunderstorm. Okay, so that's why it kind of builds, and then the second movement is going to be sort of like the rain getting heavier. And then the third movement is going to be the crescendos of lightning and thunder, and then the fourth movement is mirroring the first movement, so it's just going to be the end of the storm.
Yeah. And
just kind of petering out. So I know. So that's what I mean about structure, and that's you know, I'd say anybody who's doing anything creative like this needs to have that in place anyway. You get a lot of people go, oh, I'm going to write a book. You know, and then you ask them questions about it, and it's quite clear that they don't have the structure in their head of where that you know, where it's going to go, how the character development's going to work within it. But this is the kind of music equivalent of what people should do when they write a novel.
There's a lot of competition. Do you know how many? I mean, just take making rock songs like. We're trying to do in our band. You know, I forgot the stats now, but it's something like 40,000 songs a day are uploaded to Spotify.
Of course, though. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
to get noticed.
Yeah, but as I say, Spotify ain't where the money is anyway. But just getting back to you know, like structures and stuff. You know, we've got a mutual friend, Steve, who's just written his first novel, and. You know, think of it what you will, but I know what he went through to put that book together. I know how it's
It's doing
structured.
well by all accounts.
Yeah, I know
so.
how it's structured. I know what sort
Number
of
two's in the works, isn't it?
Literally number 2. No, sorry, Steve, we didn't mean that. No, but what I was going to say about that was I know the thought process that he had to go through in order to achieve what he achieved, and so much respect to him for putting that together, because he's done it in the right way. Okay, and that's I'd say the right way is not perhaps not a great way to put it, but because what I always say
he's planned it out in advance.
What I always say is there's no right or wrong, but there is a good and a bad, and what he's done is a very good way of doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
So that's not just the approach I've taken with putting a symphony together. It's also the approach I take when I'm doing general songwriting, when I'm learning how to record and produce. As I say, before I touched Cool Rekz, I'd been recording for a couple of years to get to understand the process before I even let myself do anything with anybody else's stuff. So there was yourself, and there was also another local band, the Factory Girls, who wanted an acoustic EP doing, which was again something I thought, okay, well that's well within my capabilities now. So I took the 2 projects on.
Did you put the drum tracks down for them on the acoustic?
They haven't got any drum tracks.
Ah, right. Because
They've
I
got a
decided with
tambourine.
David, because I heard the songs, and I said, "Who did the drum?" David said, "Who did the drums?" I goes, "I don't remember any drums being on there." Because no, there is drums on there.
No.
So,
If you've listened to it on a streaming site, there's about 3 more tracks on there that they recorded a couple of years ago.
right.
So,
there was. I think there was. It was quite a large EP, wasn't it? It was about 5 or 6 tracks on there.
there's half a dozen tracks on the EP, but the
nearest like an album, isn't it?
The nearest drums on it are me just kind of doing a tambourine on one of the tracks.
Right.
And there's nothing else, no other percussion.
Don't really need it to an extent with acoustic, do you?
Well, they didn't need it because I know I remember the process of trying to get you recorded and bullying you into using a click track. Well, they actually were completely freeform because their sound was quite an organic sound acoustically. So actually restricting them to a click track was the opposite of you guys. Restricting them to a click track was kind of restricting them completely. It wasn't letting them let their music flow at all.
No, but it's very important. We didn't have a clue, but when we got it, we really got it.
Yeah. You guys needed it because you needed tightening.
Yeah.
They needed loosening.
Right.
So we did one track with Factory Girls. We did one track with a click track, and then we dropped the click track. With you guys, you sent me one without a click track, and then I made you use a click track.
Yeah, I know you sort of made do and mend with a couple of the tracks, didn't you? But I mean, you basically said you don't have to record all these again, which is fair enough.
But we got there. You got something reasonably good.
We did well. Production-wise, it's excellent.
Yeah. And something that I did notice, which I quite liked, was when you played live, Alicia was copying all my drum patterns. So I like the fact that makes me feel like I know what I'm doing with drums as well now as well.
Well,
if she's copying,
we
my
landed
drum
on our
patterns.
feet with Alicia. I mean, she has plans long term to go in the RAF.
Yeah.
And play in the band there, and we had visions of her going next year, or she went, no, I'm not going to go for another 4 or 5 years. I said, why? Because she said, you've got to be really up there in terms of skills.
Yeah.
Because I want to spend the next 5 years just drumming with you guys and blah blah.
Right.
I was going, yeah, that's fine, because we thought she'd turn up and bugger off after half an hour playing with a couple of old men, but
yeah, but no, she seems to have. She seems to have picked up the drum patterns that I did for the 10 tracks on The World's Gone Mad, which made me think, oh, that's good that a drummer is actually like following those beats that
the drumming on
put down.
CFS.
Oh no, that was
Ghost
slightly
Train is
different.
amazing.
Yeah,
I think she'd struggle. Well, she said the original drums on Ghost Train, You know, it's
yeah, they were crazy.
yeah,
yeah.
but
Like,
it works. But
yes.
but that's the theme of the song, though, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's a runaway train. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, drumming is and the drumming on CFS was absolutely amazing. We loved it, and the track that didn't make it on the album, what you did at the end of Eat My Heart with the. Do you remember what you did at the end?
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
loved that as well. I thought
Yeah.
it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. You know the reason I didn't use Eat My Heart,
No.
and the reason I didn't use Bletchley as well,
Okay.
was because, well, Eat My Heart. We'll start with that one.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't include that on the or was, and I voiced my opinion
Reluctant
on it.
to, yeah.
Reluctant to use it was because, firstly, the track that you sent, there was a ton of feedback on the vocal.
There was, yeah. Again, David gives us feedback on there, and I got funny with him and said, "No, there isn't." I got
Yeah. Well, I know what you did. You didn't turn the bleeding monitor off, did you, when you were recording it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, yeah.
So, but when you
Schoolboy error, but
yeah,
we're
but,
learning.
but when
so.
when you sent it the re-recorded vocal, it wasn't quite at the same standard as the other vocals.
Really, I thought it was better.
No, it weren't. It was in terms of the actual recording, it was kind of quite muffled. It sounded
The quality of the recording, right?
It sounded rushed, and so and I tried to crisp it up a bit, but it wasn't working.
No.
So with that, I just thought it's not quite.
It's back to the drawing board with that one then.
So it wasn't quite at the same kind of level.
No,
as the
and that's
others.
fair enough. Even if
And
it is
then-
my favourite Cool
yeah,
Rekz track.
Yeah, and then Bletchley, which I know is your other favourite one, that just didn't fit in with the rest of the album.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
But what
It's
I
a
wanted,
kind of a last track on the album song, though, isn't it? To an extent.
yeah, but
a lot
then
of bands
again,
don't put that a kind of ambient track on at the end, won't they?
But your problem was as well, and also this your other issue was the way that you wanted your tracks laying out. You had all your 2, 3, 4 minute songs at the very start, and then 6, 7, 8 minute songs at the end.
Yeah, I didn't give any consideration to
Well,
song
you
length.
do that. No one's going to listen beyond track 6. So spread it out like that, and you'll keep people's attentions better. And so what I thought with Bletchley, with it being just kind of slightly more left field, okay, was if you take that plus Eat My Heart out, you're left with 10 tracks, which can be evenly distributed across. It'll be about 40 minutes long. It'll be...
I don't know, what is running order? Is it 43 minutes or something?
Yeah. But what we got...
Is that about right for an album?
What we got with those 10 tracks was a traditional LP, as if you had a side A and a side B running for about 23 minutes each.
That's how I view it, even though it's on a 10-track CD or it's digital format.
But what we got there, I felt, was something traditional and something that a lot of your own client base are going to relate to. So I just felt it tightened it up as if you look at the whole album holistically as one work of art, rather than 12 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
These happen to be the tracks that we've recorded, and B, what we think are our best 12 tracks. What it became was 10 tracks and an album as an album in the traditional definition of the word album,
Mm-hmm.
which is in terms of, sort of not just a collection of your music, but why is it those songs?
Yeah. I think it
What
works.
does it say
I think
about
the
yourself?
songs. I had this conversation with David. We've written a couple of happy clappy songs, and I said that we're going to have to write some more happy clappy songs and make a happy clappy album, because those songs don't go with anything else we've done, and they'd stick out like sore thumbs. I know he's really keen to include them on the second album, and they're just not going to work.
But you've got to be careful. It can work sometimes if it completely juxtaposes everything, but you've still got to be careful with it. It's still got to sit right on the album, hasn't it? So,
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I'll leave that one with you. But what I wanted to achieve in terms of what you did for The World's Gone Mad was not just your 12 best songs, but maybe 10 songs that fit an album.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean,
we deferred
to you
as a standalone piece of work. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful because it's dead easy to get dead precious. I mean, you've written some songs and you've said, no, I don't want that. You know, but you got to get over that.
But as you rightly say, you're not rejecting it. You're just kind of saving it for later.
Well, yeah,
for the right moment.
Yeah, and we'll do a nice feedback-free version for you.
Yeah. How many songs was it that Prince didn't release when he died?
No idea.
Hundreds, thousands.
Yeah, I bet.
Yes, and they're all there, just in demo form, just waiting to be released onto the world, and you know, so there's reason, you know, that's going back over his entire career as well. So you know, you could look at something that he wrote in 1983.
I know apparently he was a prolific writer, wasn't he?
Yeah, something he wrote 40 years ago, and you're thinking, why didn't he put that on? I don't know, Purple Rain or whatever, and you just think, well, it actually wouldn't fit with the rest of those songs on the album.
Plus, you write songs, and then you forget about them, and then you come. When I say forget about them, I mean you put them to one side, and then you might not go back to them for a while. But I don't
know. I mean, I never forget about stuff.
No,
like when I'm performing. I mean, I went for about three years. Okay, pandemic aside. But I went a good few gigs, probably about 10-15 gigs where I didn't play my best song, The Stars Have Drowned. And that's because I was kind of a bit bored of playing it. And not just that, but the songs that I was playing, I didn't think it quite fitted in with the kind of the mood. Because I got I wrote a few things that were perhaps a little bit lighter in tone than that song, and it just kind of worked its way out of my set. But what I'm doing now is there's another song that's very similar in tone to it, that again I didn't play for a while because I didn't think it fitted in with my set, but if I put that one in, Stars Have Drowned fits in directly after it, so it kind of works as a set. So I don't know if any of my peers do, you know, have this kind of thought process when they're putting their songs together, or whether they just pick out 8 or 9 that they want to do, or whether they just go, oh yeah, I'll do that one, I'll do this one, I'll do that one, or whether they actually think, okay, well that fits with that. And also it can depend on what covers I do as well. Do you know what I mean? You know, so yeah.
So you are looking to put an album together at some stage?
I'm looking to put a few albums together at some stage. But I want everything recorded first before I do.
Right.
Because what I don't want to do is think in my mind that I've got an idea for an album and what songs should go on that album, and then suddenly, like 6 months after I've done that, write or record another song where I think actually that would have been better on that album than one of the ones that I put.
So you want to do them all?
Yeah.
And then you can dissect them.
Yeah, because I've written some, and this a lot of people do this. I know a lot of artists do this. Is where they will write something that they think is absolutely amazing, absolutely awesome, but they can't ever get it quite right in the studio, and then
got a couple of
something else that they just kind of throw together without much thought works absolutely brilliantly.
It's really weird how some songs come together so easily, and obviously.
So what I don't want to be in the position of is discounting something that I don't think will work, but actually does when I actually come to record it, and bitterly regret not putting it somewhere else. So I just want everything done, and then whatever I feel good about and whatever fits together will go together. What I do actually want to do is I want to release 3 albums on the same day.
Really?
Yeah. So no one knows
Wow.
which one the difficult second album is. Always thinking, you see. But there's marketing in that. So
There is.
So
I mean, my
that's why I
understanding
would
of
do
the
that.
difficult second album is the fact that they always say you've got all your life to write your first album
Yeah.
and 30 seconds to write your second album.
Well, you're at
But a lot
difficult
of
second
that's-
album stage now, aren't you? So.
Well, yeah.
So you've got the two that I rejected. You've got some jingle jangly stuff.
Yeah. We've got a lot of tracks, that
Yeah.
you've never heard,
Yeah.
which might delight or scare you in equal measure.
Mm.
What do you think of the music industry today? I mean, it's much changed. I mean, I saw an interview with Adam Ant, and he was saying, you needed to sell 500,000 singles to get in the top 5. He said, now if you sold 500,000 singles, you'd be number 1 for weeks.
Yeah.
It's
Well, the music industry doesn't bother me.
it's a bit cutthroat,
I
isn't it?
like it, but as I say, what I was more bothered about when I started, when I actually thought, I'm going to actually have a go at performing,
Yeah.
maybe a few other things, was I was more bothered about how it worked at grassroots level, rather than what you see in the charts.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
goes on, or even what's gone on in the charts, even back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I wasn't bothered about it. It doesn't. Well, I mean, I like music, and I like stuff that is at the higher levels. Of course, I do.
Yeah.
But what I'm not bothered about is how they've got there. I'm not bothered about how they stay there. I'm not bothered about any of those things, because at the moment, I'm not playing in that league. I'm not. If that's Premier League, I feel I'm perhaps Vauxhall Conference or whatever it's called now. It's very much a local thing. So what I was bothered about was how local venues work. Like in Leicester, the Soundhouse, the Shed, the Musician, how they work. Who's promoting the music that gets played there.
I know nothing about the promotions.
Mm.
I've heard from someone saying there's 1 or 2 guys that have got most of the pie in Leicester.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I'm on first name terms with them, because I made it my business and I networked and I found these people out, and they give me gigs and and all that.
Yeah.
So I was more bothered about that, and then in terms of how record labels work, and in terms of how the music industry works at higher levels, I'm still not bothered about it. What I'm actually bothered about is, I mean, at the end of the day, I've got my songs registered with a publisher, registered with the PRS, and I get regular royalty checks come in from live performances over the last 4 or 5 years. That money rolls in. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, and the more gigs you play, the more that money you get from that. When I start to record stuff, then yes, I could start earning money from the recording royalties as well. But the thing that excites me is, we touched on it before, is music for visual imagery.
Yes.
Because of that upfront licensing payment, and that's really, as far as I see.
I mean, it's not easy earning money as a
where the
musician,
money
is it? The majority of musicians will never earn enough money to live on.
No, but it's a good second income. I'm getting a good second income from it.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously nowhere near that. I mean, obviously we're doing it because we love doing it, and then if you do get something from it, then it's just about.
But to be honest, other than those back end royalties, the majority of my second income, about 80% of it actually, comes from those kind of covers gigs like you turned up to at Beaumont Leys the other night.
Very good night.
Where I am just playing about 30 cover songs. Okay, I squeezed one of mine in, but that's because I was running ahead of myself and could squeeze it in. But otherwise, it wasn't planned. I didn't plan on playing one of my songs. I did plan on playing playing Wonderwall and Come On Feel the
Were
Noise.
they happy? The people that own the bar, were they happy?
More than,
with
yeah,
it?
yeah.
So you think you'll play there again?
Possibly. I don't ever. I mean, everybody's kind of nice to each other. So the amount for every 10 people that say, "Oh, you were awesome, we'll have you back," perhaps about 2 of them actually do come back and book you again.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
I take anything like that with a pinch of salt. But the point is at the moment that about 80% of the income that I get does not come from my own work. It comes from playing those kind of gigs, which are great because they're accounting for a reasonable amount as a second income. And what I would call myself now is not a hobbyist, but maybe semi-pro.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I think I've kind of moved on from it. Yeah. So
that's kind of play, aren't you?
That's kind of nice. Yeah.
Paid to
yeah.
play.
So, but the other kinds of gigs that those promoters do, where you're not really getting paid so much, they're still fine because I might get to support somebody famous now and again, and that has a value. Because that goes on
Absolutely.
your CV.
And, every time you play
that
a
goes
gig,
on my bio on the
there
website.
There could be 4 or 5 people that suddenly are on your website and looking out for you. And that's the way you've got to look at it.
That's right,
There's always something you can get out of a show.
Yeah.
I mean, we doubled our Instagram followers after Saturday, our first gig.
You've got 4 now.
Amazing. Yeah. 5.
Right, how can you have doubled it and got 5?
No, we had about... We didn't have a huge amount. We had about 30 or 40. Now we're up to about 8, 10.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. At the moment, that's where my second income is, if you like, comes from. But if I can crack the market for licensing, and get some music in TV programs or adverts or films or video games or whatever, then it will just
I mean the video game market especially is this day and age. You want to give us a bit of a plug about what you've got coming up? You're playing Glaston Budget, aren't you?
Playing Glaston Budget, yes, not Bury, yes.
No, that's next year.
But I do.
Well, why not?
This will be my 3rd Glaston Budget.
Is it? You played there before?
Yeah.
Well, my daughters obviously must have seen you then and not realised.
But for those people watching that don't know what Glaston Budget is, it's basically like Glastonbury, so it's a festival. But the reason they call it Glaston Budget is because the big draw is mainly tribute acts.
Yes.
And they get some very good tribute acts.
Do they have any originals in there?
They do occasionally have original. Like someone who got to the semi-final of The Voice or something might get
right.
Might
get a place.
Yeah, I think so. But this year they've got Bootleg Beatles headlining. So
right, yeah.
So everybody knows Bootleg Beatles. So they get some very
Is
very
that
big.
A paid job or
No, I get free camping, but I'm not going to be mercenary about this.
No.
At the end of the day, I'm playing to potentially 15,000 people.
Oh, absolutely,
So I'm quite happy to play.
Is it Wimeswold, is it?
Yeah, near
Where's
Melton.
that? North West Leicestershire.
Near Melton.
All right, North Leicestershire then.
Yeah, it'd be northeast if anything.
Northeast, yeah.
So this has been my 3rd Glaston Budget Festival. I'm playing not the Isle of Wight festival, but a festival that happens to be on the Isle of Wight, the Ventnor Fringe, which is actually quite a famous festival down south. It gets quite a lot of good press.
You're playing in Morecambe as well, aren't you, or somewhere like
playing
that?
in Morecambe next month, yeah.
Well, how did you get that then? Tyson Fury asked you up, didn't he?
Does he live in Morecambe?
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He's Morecambe's favourite son.
Apart from Eric.
Yes, apart from him.
Because he's got a statue. Has Tyson Fury got a statue in Morecambe?
No, but I mean, he's still current, isn't it? I think he will.
We digress, anyway. Okay, well, how I got that gig in Morecambe is exactly the same way that I got the gig that you went to on Saturday in Beaumont Leys. There's various Facebook groups that you can join where if you do covers like I do, when you've got your own PA and your own travel, then you can play literally anywhere you want to.
Are you on Bandcamp?
No.
No, people keep telling me to go on there.
Well, I've not got any music release, so there's no point yet.
Right, okay. I don't know the model. I've just been told to go on Bandcamp. I've never really looked at it, to be honest with you.
I know a few people that are, but as I say, you know, at the end of the day, what I've got is an infrastructure, like a business infrastructure in place. So what I do is if I want to do an activity within music, I know exactly what it's going to get me. So I work out what it is I want to do. Like, for example, I mean, you touched on Bandcamp there. If we expand that into social media, I have one social media site. The reason for that is because when I started, I had 5 social media sites, social media accounts, okay, and figured after about 6 months that carrying on managing 5 social media sites was untenable. What I was doing was I was becoming a social media administrator rather than a musician. So what I did was I thought, I'm keeping this simple. I even dropped Instagram, even though that's linked to Facebook. I just go with Facebook. Okay, so I dropped Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and another one that I was on, and I can't remember what it was called.
Even at our level, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So Twitter's, I would say, is not a good vehicle for music.
But the reason I dropped Instagram as well, even though whatever you post on Facebook will go onto Instagram.
Same with Instagram. If you do something on Instagram, it will leak into Facebook.
Problem is that you've got little nuances with Instagram, like DMs and stuff like that. That even when I did try and run the two together, it was just like I was just getting totally distracted by other things.
The problem is you're limited on Instagram to a minute of music. Which might suit you, might not.
I don't know, but so I dropped everything but Facebook. And the reason I kept Facebook above all the other ones was because there's all these groups on Facebook where I can get business.
So it's a lot easier to network on there.
Whereas they're not on Facebook. Instagram or Twitter or anything. They're on Facebook. So and as I say, that's what I'm saying about this. That keeping Facebook was a business decision. No, it wasn't a decision.
You've gone all corporate on me, Paul.
Well, you kind of have to that's part of the fun for me, you know. I mean, people get bogged down with the administration of running their own businesses, but for me, that's part of the hobby.
I'm not going to lie to you. I love going on my DistroKid and seeing the 0.001565 pence because someone streamed the song.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, I totally get you there.
Yeah, so that's why I took that approach, because right from the very start, because what I wanted to do was like manage what I needed to manage, but effectively, and that's why I took the decision after trying to run 4 or 5 social media profiles that because it was taking up so much time.
Well, the next stage you get yourself a PA.
No, you don't, because that costs money.
Oh yeah, but you'll be making enough, Paul.
No, you watch me. I'd rather.
You never know, though, do you? You never know.
Yeah, well, I do to an extent, because if I do make any money from this, it will come from licensing, and that's something, again. It's quite easy. I've seen how it works.
But that's not unrealistic, is it?
No, and it's also quite easy to remain in control of that.
Yeah.
Okay, without it spiralling out of control. So at the end of the day, and this is another reason why I record all my own stuff, is because that means I don't just have control over the authorship. I'll also have control over the masters as well. So there's no one else fighting for them. There's no other bandmates fighting for it. There's no record label fighting for it. There's no producer fighting for it.
There's no split of royalties.
There's nothing. It's all me.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it all me for as long as I possibly can.
Right.
So.
Well, no, I admire it. I mean, as a solo solo artists. I mean,
I'm just control freak, really, I guess.
well, but see, the thing is, the plus side is all the creative control and mastery of your own destiny and all the rest of it. The downside is maybe you've not got. You can't bounce ideas of other people. That's fine if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to do that anyway. Yeah. But
the main
there's a camaraderie in a band, I suppose.
Yeah, but the main thing that really it would have a detrimental effect on is missing a trick. Like, for example, because it's only me and there's no other irons in the fire anywhere unless I've put them in there,
yeah,
is kind of missing something completely and missing the boat on earning a bit of cash, or missing the boat on something else.
Do you not have a friend that you bounce your ideas? I've played this. I've written this. What do you think? Or do you literally?
Sometimes, I mean, when I did the Factory Girls EP, I sent that to. I've got a friend in Derby who's actually a professional musician.
Right.
So I sent it him, and I wanted his thoughts on what it sounded like, and I sent it to a couple of other people as well within at my sort of level in the local scene.
Yeah.
Just to get their ideas on what they thought, and also spoke to their family and friends as well about what they thought of the end product. What I don't want is sycophants. I don't want people just kind of smarming up to me saying, "Oh, how wonderful it is." What I want is people to say, "I think this could have been dealt with better or improved on," and stuff. Like, for example, the professional musician that I know in Derby, he's a Facebook friend. I've not seen him for probably about 30 years. Cool. So I knew him when I was at uni in Derby.
Right.
But we kind of kept in touch.
What did you study?
I studied history of art, but you're digressing.
No, it was just a quick
rein it in. You're supposed to be reining me in. But anyway, so
I'm going to be raining very shortly.
Yeah. So I mean, short of over the last 5 or 6 years, just kind of going, "Oh, you're right, mate. What you up to these days?" Not really said a lot to him, to be honest. But then I'd said to him, sort of earlier this year, "Look, I've recorded this thing. First go I've really having a go at something for somebody else who's sort of in just starting. Wondered if you could give me an opinion on it, because the other thing as well is when he was in a band at the time, although I did know him, he doesn't do this kind of thing now, but the kind of music that he was doing was one of the EPs that they released was actually a very good reference point for Factory Girls, because it had a lot of the similar sort of guitar tones, similar vocal tones and all that. So I thought it would be good to give it him, particularly as he stayed working in music.
Yeah.
And he came back with a lot of very, very good pointers.
For the Factory Girls.
Yeah, of things that I didn't pick up on originally, right, that he's kind of picked up on, which are things like, one of the things he said was that he felt that the vocals were very overproduced. Well, not overproduced, but too produced.
But you've got a lot to work with, haven't you? Because they're excellent vocaler. They're very good. They're very good musicians. They're excellent vocaler.
Yeah.
The music's not for me, but what I can see from a performance point of view.
But what he said in terms of the vocal production was that I should have, in his opinion, should have left it a little bit more natural.
A little rawer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing that he said was because it was an acoustic album, what I should have thought of was, in retrospect, how it's come out is maybe give a little bit more thought to how I was going to compensate for there being no bass. Okay, so they're two things that I kind of took on board, particularly the bit about the bass, because I think if there's an area that I still need to work on and learn a little bit more is equalisation, is EQ. So actually what he's done is kind of pointed out the fact that I didn't hear something when I originally put that EP together.
They're happy enough with it, aren't they?
Oh, they love it, yeah. So
and again, I think it's well produced from my point of view.
Yeah. So it was really handy hearing somebody say that, because it's not something that I gave an awful lot of thought to. Because, as I say, EQ is something that I don't necessarily. Well, I just kind of leave it there. But if something's glaring, and something has to be reined in, I kind of know how to rein it in. But what I'm not very good at doing is kind of enhancing something that isn't there. I guess. So it's kind of. I'll give you an example. What's the song on The World's Gone Mad? It's one of the later tracks, or one of the tracks nearer to the end of the album, where there's a kind of a tom-tom going. It might be Crazy.
Right,
Yeah, Crazy. So I didn't do the drums for that. I think Alicia did the drums for that.
Yes.
I think she programmed them.
Yeah.
And there's a tom-tom on it, right, that actually, on the raw recording that you sent me, was that the tom-tom was actually hurting my ears. It was kind of booming.
Yeah. No,
right?
They're David's drums.
Right. Okay.
He
So
produced those.
let's blame him because he's not here.
Well, no, Crazy was the first song that we did.
Yeah, but it was obviously one of the latter ones that I
yes,
ended up
but
with,
it was one of the last songs that you got hold of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the if you because of your hearing problems, you probably didn't pick up on this. But when I played it through studio,
I couldn't hear the feedback on Eat My Heart.
Yeah.
You and David could.
Yeah. So when I played it on my studio monitors, actually the tom-tom was actually making it like I was getting this pain just here. It's like felt like someone was pushing two fingers in. Just
did you equalise that out then?
Yeah. What I did was I actually went into the equaliser, and you've got like a like the waves that are the analytic waves.
Yeah.
And I was working out which frequency was the tom-tom.
Yeah.
I took it right down and it worked. So I was really happy that I'd managed again. Talk about Guinea Pigs,
it's one of Deb's favourite records, and we're doing it tomorrow because he wants to perform that.
Yeah, and because you didn't do it at the Hind, did you?
No, we didn't do that or Black Dog.
So, but I was really chuffed that what I'd managed to do was learn how to do that with one of your songs.
Good.
So yeah, because it needed, and it was actually, in the terms of the wavelengths, it literally was just this little spike that went up like that, like obviously on each beat, but it was only very tiny wavelength, and I had to just kind of like really work hard to bring that right down, and just that bit.
Well, we are hard work, we know that.
But it worked, and I'm glad it did, because if it hadn't worked, I'd have had to go back to you and say I can't make this do what it needs to do.
You need to redo it.
Yeah, because seriously, I mean the tom-tom, it's kind of like making like a boom noise like this. And,
right. I don't know how David produced it. I have no idea. Everything
else was kind of at a level here, and then this tom-tom was up there somewhere, so it had to come right down. So again, that's where I say, I need to learn about EQ. That's one of the things that I felt I learned something.
Well, that's good.
And I'll always keep those kind of skills in mind for future, obviously. But what my friend in Derby, was talking about was the opposite, where what I could have done was maybe work out how I could have put something in that wasn't there in the first place.
Yeah.
Because for everything that you can take out.
I mean, with us, a lot of it's a cleaning up operation. We appreciate that. It is, and hopefully you live and you learn. I think we're going to have to end it there, Paul, because it's gone on for quite a while. So what I want to do, just to finish ending it, is people want to learn more about what you're doing, where you're going to be, what sort of social. I'll put it all in there, but if you can just tell us.
Okay, well, there's a reasonably good looking gig coming up at the Donkey. on with a couple of other bands. One band is The Phased, who have been going in Leicester for quite a while. I think the other band is called Revive, I think.
Where's the Donkey again?
On Welford Road.
Right, I should know that, shouldn't I?
Be on my website anyway, pauljroberts.co.uk.
That's the main thing, pauljroberts.co.uk. And you've got a Facebook, and that's
which is at Paul J Roberts Music.
Right, okay.
Easy. So and there's a picture of me on there, so you know it's the right place.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I think that's 21st of May at the Donkey. That could be a good one.
Right, I'll put that in my diary then.
And then there's other things coming up. Glaston Budget. I think I'm playing the Melton Folk Festival August the 6th as well. So that's always good fun.
You've played that before?
Yeah. And I'm doing a gig at the Peacock in Loughborough in June as well. So that'll be a covers gig.
Wow, so you're a busy man.
So well, yeah. I mean, it depends of what you want to see. If you want to see originals or if you want to see covers, I'll cater for something for everyone.
That's it. And I know you'll very much give the public what they want. And you've done that. You've given the people that watch our channel what they want. Is coming and talking to me. Really appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much.
No probs. Thank you.
We'll see you again. Cheers.
Yes.